Hello, good morning, and welcome back to Painting Big with me, your host, Anne, and Disembodied Hands, Quinty, Justin, and John. How are you? I am suffering from a sore neck. So if you see me like doing this all the time, that's why. Oh, everybody's being quiet. Shh. Oh, I see, Grithiak. Okay, you're hiding in plain sight. Yes. Oh wait, I'm a follow-up to Bob Ross, man. Man, that's a tough act to follow, Agent Marvel. That's funny. Alrighty. We got Ogre. Ta-da! Let's see here. Let's get us in focus. Mostly okay? So, there we go. Alright, so we need to do probably some wood highlighting. And it's time for our punch list. That's what it is. It's time for our punch list. Because we're getting close to wanting to put a cap on this guy. Not literally. And I want to make sure that I hit all the things, especially because we've put it base coated and shading on a lot of it, and we haven't necessarily finished stuff out like the wood here. So I want to make sure that I can get it. So I need to do his eyes. I always do this when we're getting close. Oh, Bob is rolling all weekend. Oh, Kaz. You abandoned Luca. No. I need to do the ropes. The little ropes around his ankle and the ropes here. I could do, I need to do the barrel. Highlighting on the wood just a little bit. Wood highlights. Don't need to bring that up too much. Just want to pay a little bit of attention to it. We did that and that. I need to do, didn't highlight the red or do any of the red leather on the collar. So red leather collar. And as you've noticed on previous streams, I always do this when I get down to the final stages of a model. Need to do the shield rim. Oh, I got a little alert. Yeah, Quinty, hold on. Shield rim. And center. All right. Yeah, I'm getting some a message here. Hold on. Let me see what we got. There were some drop frames like 5 minutes when I first started the stream, Quinty, is what I'm getting. But I can kill that. There we are. Let me do a quick test. Boom. Quick test just to make sure we're not headed for disaster. Because you know how it goes. Bracer under the shield is not a bracer, Pendrake. It's canvas cloth and it is painted. So he does not have symmetrical stuff. Let me go double check. Yeah, my upload's fine. It's almost 40. So if we did have a hiccup, it was right at the start of the stream. Alrighty. So really, that and the little, I haven't decided what to do with the pokey things. Pokey things on club. I may just highlight the black and have them be like black stone. That would be easy. And I kind of like them being kind of black and razory, kind of like sinister. So I may just do that. Alrighty. Okay, so not too much to do. Like, there's some things that will take up a bit of time here. Let's actually finish out. I want to finish out the red, I think. The only place I really haven't finished out the red is just like his collar. So let's just do that. Let's mix up some of that red because I like it. We used Asmodeus, so I have to dig out my Asmodeus somewhere. That's not Asmodeus. Oh, I promoted it. I put it in the front of my red section now. So Asmodeus red is our base red. It is a beautiful Pathfinder red that I would encourage everyone to buy. And we were highlighting it with orange brown, which is kind of a rusty orange. That is 9201. We're doing that just to bring it up a bit more organically. We don't want the red to be very bright, so if we're going to highlight it with orange, we don't want to use a bright orange. Alrighty. So we'll mix this up, and I believe I was adding just a little bit of bleached linen because that's usually my MO if I'm using this highlight, because usually with the orange you do want to add a little bit of an off-white to bring it up. I don't want to add a yellow because it's going to pop it too much. So we will put our red down. Except that it's clogging up. Do I have to order a new bottle of Asmodeus red? Like, that would be amazing. That would be like my favorite red of all time. I don't think I've ever had to reorder. Like, I think back in the beginning, I used a lot of 9003, and that is maybe the only other red that I, like, ran out of. So, I really like this color. Yes, we can differentiate DreamWorks from Disney. For sure. So we've got our base red that we want to have open just in case we need to blend. Then we want to make a puddle next to it. That's highlights. It's apparently I'm going to do a 1-to-1. Orange brown, 9201. And again, cloggies. Come on, paint. It's one of those Fridays, guys. Like, the world wants it to just be Friday today. It wants us all to run off and play video games or work in our gardens or take a walk or, you know, cook something tasty. Like, the world wants us to do that. It's like, yeah, it's Friday. We're done. We're done with the week. That's how I'm feeling. Alrighty, there we go. So I'm listening to an audiobook that's all about like deliberate practice and how important it is in getting better, and how if you're going to get really good at something, it's more about how hard you work and less about like being born with any natural talent. But I had to kind of groan because like he's talking about practice, about deliberate practice and how it makes you get better, but that it's also not fun and it's really taxing. That's exactly what I'm going through with my writing right now. But it made me think too about you guys and learning mini painting, right? Because a lot of times it can go either way. Like a lot of times if you're like, oh, I want to run off and try this, sometimes I'll tell you, you might have better success if you try this other thing first. But I also, it's worth trying new things. The reason I'm bringing this up, it is worth kind of running at the wall. But if you're going to run at that wall, if you're going to take a new thing, if you're going to try NMM, if you're going to try OSL, if you're going to try like some advanced techniques, maybe before you're like super good at blending or something, that's perfectly cool and valid. But have a plan, like have a coach, have a, kind of a way you're going to do it that's methodical, that like enables you to assess what's working and what's not. Or you're just going to try it, you're going to like maybe fall down, maybe get okay results, maybe get results that discourage you, and you're not going to know how to troubleshoot it. So get yourself a good Discord or a good forum or a good painting group who can help you out when you're trying to push your talents. because definitely you should, if you want to get better, like you gotta reach for new things to try new techniques. But at the same time, having that feedback is so important so that you don't get it discouraged and that you can re-attack after your initial assault, because nobody gets it on the first try. Not unless you're already an expert painter. Oh gosh, let's not get into the intricacies of corporate domination. I can never remember who owns who at this point. Oh lordy. All right, so we've got this lovely orange that we mixed up with Asmodeus red and orange brown. And I'm transferring some of it over to here. I'm going to drop 1 drop of bleached linen into it, just to make it a little lighter. You could also use something like burnt orange 9111, that. It's a lighter orange, also kind of a muted orange like this, like a burnt kind of rusty orange, but it's much lighter. It has white in it. So adding that to this can also put you in the right direction. And you know what? I may actually do that. I may do it myself. Where is it? I know I've got it, because I used to... Burnt orange, by the way, is a great... You know, you're not supposed to be willing Twitch to, like, fail, Shadow Raven. I used to love orange brown a lot, and I used to use it to highlight leather all the time. So if you use a lot of oiled leather, or you use a lot of like ruddy leather, mixing this in, even like Harvest Brown 9200, like burnt orange is a great color to use to highlight leather if you're looking to keep it more on the orangey and warm side. So I'm going to mix some of this in here. And we'll start with that, and if we need to take it a little lighter, we will. And it does have a little more yellow in it. Here, I'll compare and contrast. So orange brown is the darker one, and the lighter one is burnt orange. So you can see that there is more yellow and white in there, but that is what makes it a great highlight. When you're looking for reds that you don't want to go bright, but you want to go kind of rusted out, burnt orange. Orange brown and burnt orange are your friends. I think any animals can be the best. I agree that it's wonderful to rescue them, though. Panther was a rescue. My last cat, Mama San's son, technically, because Matt Clark rescued Mama San, and then she had kittens. So he was a one generation removed rescue. I'm gonna get out some walnut brown because I want the capacity to mix some darker colors, and also to do some lining here. I'm seeing gaps where I missed the lining. Bye, Carrie Michael. Yes, have fun. Have a good weekend. See you on my channel tomorrow, maybe. Oh dear, I dropped a little blob of walnut into my... So if you accidentally drop a little blob of something into your other color, grab your brush, kind of slurp it up, and lift. And it comes all off on your brush. Because viscosity. So you can totally remove an errant drop of paint from your other paint. As long as it's not too thin. Like, if you have really thin paint, then it might start kind of diffusing into the surrounding paint. But you could totally do that. Just pop your brush into that puddle and just lift it out. And it'll adhere to your brush, and it'll come totally out of your paint. So there's a trick we've never shown you how to do before. Ever. Because it's never happened before. But it happens. Yeah. Let's just do that. Oh, dearie me. I just want to, like, have a relaxing weekend, but there's so much. I have, just so you guys know, I'll be out of town on the 25th and 28th. I'm going to visit my mom in Arizona. And of course, that's the end of the month, which is so stressful because then I have to have all this Patreon stuff done by then. So I'm working really, really hard the coming 5 days to get everything prepped and ready so that at least it's on YouTube and I can upload it at the appropriate time. But it means my weekend is probably not going to be as relaxing as I wish it would. I wish it would be. Also, my book edits are kicking my butt right now. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've done anything so mentally taxing since college. All right, so I just needed to like redarken and reline around the collar there. I'm going to push this up so we can see better. Just making sure that I've got a nice shadow between his head and the collar. This model is a little bit more cartoony. He's very cut. We've done a lot of like kind of high contrast with him, so I'm not afraid to do the lining. And make sure that I've got, if I see any little bits of white, like there's going to be little pesky bits of primer still showing through here and there if you use white primer and you don't use washes. So just kind of go through and kind of retest and look at things and make sure that you've covered all your paint. Morning crows. It's definitely morning. All right, I want this orange. And on this round thing, since it's round leather, it's wrapped around something and it's going to be flexing. You want to treat it like you treat the belt down here. It's going to have vertical cracks, or in this case, horizontal cracks that are running across it as it stretches and pulls as he moves his head. So I'm going to start kind of like doing the edges with my kind of dark orange, my between Asmodeus and the other orange. I'm going to stipple that edge. I'm not going to actually do a line on it. I'm going to do little dots. Little dashes. Just kind of see that highlight coming up there. You start this way so it looks natural and you build it up lighter. But you want to start with the like not too obvious color. And I can see kind of some areas when I painted this that are kind of suggesting themselves to be where cracks are, because there's a kind of irregularities in some of this. So I'm going to mark those, and those will be where my main cracked areas are. The whole surface doesn't have to be cracked evenly. You can definitely focus on different areas. Oh, and I told you guys, now it's further enough in the stream, right, that we can show you guys. All right, so the model that will be replacing Ogre once we are totally finished with him, and it is very close, is Catfolk Paladin. Dun, dun, dun. I really loved Grumpy Cat, so we have to do another Catfolk. So we're doing Catfolk Paladin after Ogre is done. We still have a little bit of Ogre, obviously. We have to do all the stuff that's on my punch list, and then we have to figure out basing for him. Yeah, I'm not getting any messages. Yeah, so Catfolk Paladin, because Julie does the best kitties. So yeah, Catfolk Paladin is definitely our I think he wants to be a Siamese. He has huge eyes, and he looks like he's spitting. And so I think he has to be a Siamese Paladin, which is very odd, but I kind of think like he might have to be that. So anyway, that's my thought. I haven't decided on anything else about him, but I think that's where we're going. We could make him an anti-paladin if you wanted. It could go either way. Yeah, either righteous or unrighteous kitty. Like I said, anti-paladin or paladin. But yeah, so we're going to do the kitty. It's my call. He's got a lot of cleaning to do on him. He's got a fair amount of flashing and stuff removal. I love, by the way, is Julie on? Green users, are you on? Because I love, on his shield, there's a ball of string. It's his emblem, is the ball of string. Hold on. I have to open him and show you. Because if you haven't seen the detail, that detail on this model, it is awesome. So you can see you've got a lot of cleanup to do on him. Maybe we'll clean him up on stream. But there's the ball of string. Isn't it cool? Yes, I love this, Julie. I love it. I think it's great. So yeah, this model has a lot of flashing. Look at all that flash. So maybe toward the end of this stream, because I don't want to do a whole stream of prep because I need to stop to prime and things. But maybe we'll do some prep and removal on the end of this stream to clean up this guy, because he has a heavy amount of flashing. Technically, with this amount of flash, I could absolutely contact Reaper and get another cast of him. But flash is easy to remove. I don't have a problem with it, so I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna go for it. So yeah, so Catfolk Paladin. Yeah, I love the ball of string. It's a super, super, yeah. Super, super detail. Oh, there's a cat toy on one of them. That's awesome. Oh, lovely. I love it. Well, I really liked the Paladin. I think I got the Paladin and I got another Catfolk, but I looked at the Paladin and I thought I would really like to do it. Especially if you guys want me to do a heavy NMM piece, because he's got a lot of metal, and it's different kinds, different shapes. And so if you want me to serious NMM it, like, we could go serious NMM on this. It's really a good model for it, and we haven't done that for a while. Val, I've got a little bit of neck pain. Other than that, I'm good. I need to do some stretches and exercises for that, but otherwise, it's a day. I must have slept funny. A little bit of highlighting on top here. Oh, I went a little bit too light with that previous highlight. It doesn't have, it does not have female features. I'm going to say it's a he, for me, but you may, of course, use it any way you like. Some people look for secondary sexual characteristics on their animals, their anthropomorphic animals, and some don't. If it's a she, see, she's an A cup. Let's just put it that way. Which totally could be, and it's up to you. It won't change how I paint it. Like, it seldom matters really to me. Like, I don't choose colors based on like he, she, or non-binary choices. I treat each model as an individual. So really, it's all about the character for me. The character class, and for a paladin, it's all about the god, right? It's all about the divinity. But yes, obviously, this particular kitty is a devotee of the Lord of Cats. Yes, NMMs. Yes. All right, so we've got some more, kind of see me mapping in these cracks in the leather. Now, that was all using this mid-orange here. Now we're going to go up to the orange that's much lighter. And what I may do here is I may just take this all the way up to a burnt orange. So let me pop my 9111. I just mentioned how it's a great highlight, so let's use it. You can tell that my burnt orange hasn't been used for a while because it's thickening up. So when you start squeezing out your paint and you notice that it's drops like this and not big drops that kind of spread out, that means you've got, essentially, your paint is thickening up, probably because it's a color you just haven't used that much. So what we can do is we can take a Kleenex or a paper towel, and we can pop the top off, just kind of pop that right off of there. The paper towel is just to keep your hands from getting dirty. Yeah, it's pretty pasty. It's pretty pasty. So then we take our dropper bottle, or you can just grab a brush full and drop it in that way, but it's much easier to do it this way. And put about 20 drops in, I want to say. Make sure you've got no bubbles in there. See how thick that is? I think we've got a bubble. Tap it on the table if you feel like it might. There we go. The bubble popped. We definitely had a bubble in there. All right. So now it's much better, see? So it shouldn't be like filled all the way up. Normally the bottle is supposed to be filled up on this lump here. So you should have enough room to put in water. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Which is about 5% of the volume of the bottle, which should be enough to slightly thin the paint and keep it good over the next few years, even if I don't use it very much. So now that we've got that water in there, we're going to put that nipple back on the top and press it down. If you want to take your Kleenex or your paper towel and just kind of clean off things so they're not too goopy, you can do that at this point. Then we put our cap back on and give it a good shake until I can really kind of hear the agitator go, which is a little clicking noise you'll hear. And just for fun, Now the nipple will still have some of that old paint in it. So, but now on the tail end of that, see that? See that fluid? That's much more fluid. It's not standing up in those like stiff frosting peaks. Yeah, so now, there we go. Now it's back to normal MSP. So this was an almost full bottle, and 20 drops of water worked just fine. If you have a half full bottle that you're attempting to resuscitate like this, I would recommend going like maybe 15 drops, depending on how thick it is. If it's thicker than what I had, then I would still go 20. But I just use tap. I mean, the only time, Splat, and this is such a common myth that's like peddled about with people. If you've got normal drinkable tap water, you can use it. The only time that you might have tap that is just not going to work is if you have really heavy water with a lot of metals in it, or a lot of other weird, you've got old metal pipes. Some of the older cities, like some areas in New York, have like old copper pipes or old metal pipes. Then you can get enough it'll change the pH of the water and it may affect the paint. But all of this thing with people using distilled water and all this stuff, it really is not necessary in most areas of the country, in my experience. I've painted in a number of different states and a number of different cities, and I've always just used tap, unless I happen to have like a half full bottle of drinking water. And usually even then it's maybe filtered water, but that's all. I don't ever use distilled. Now, some people say definitely use distilled for airbrushing, and I could see that because you're atomizing paint at that point. And that's going to make it act differently. But for normal painting, it's not really. It's just not. Like, I knew a guy who did live in Spanish Harlem in New York City, and he did use distilled because he found that his paint did react adversely because they had really old pipes in his building. So things like that, yeah, then definitely do. Not that it's going to hurt you to use distilled, but why buy water if you don't need to? Honestly, Valendar, I never found it to matter. I used tap for all of my long-term test bottles at Reaper, and I never had a problem. Again, your mileage may vary depending on what country or area of the country you live in. So use your best. Oh no, I got a little bit of burnt orange on my water bottle. No, this is catastrophe. Now I have to flush it out. What way could I use? I could put my brush in it. This is my old crappy mixing brush. Ta-da! I have cleaned out the area. But yeah, I think, I say this all the time. I always say that people tend to overthink things in the hobby. All that really matters is brush control, paint consistency, relatively neutral water, and, decent brushes. But people will always microanalyze. It's just the nature of humans. And we've gotten some great discoveries about mini painting through that process, right? So I don't knock it. I do kind of give it a sly sideways look sometimes and say overthinking, but I hope it's not ketchup. I can't eat it if it is. And actually, this isn't the right color for mustard. If we really wanted mustard, we'd have to use oxide yellow or palomino gold. Those are both adequate mustard colors. Maybe the old green ochre if you're doing your Dijon mustard, but then you'd have to put speckles in it, and that would not look very edible. But yeah, I've never really found it necessary to indulge in all of those different water variants. I've just always used regular old water. And I mean, as somebody who created a paint line for you, I will tell you that if water is ever added to a formula in MSP, regular water works just fine. And I will also tell you that the big thing, other than deposits in your water, like I said, the metal pipes and stuff like that, but the biggest thing that's going to hit you is pH. So if you've got something in your water supply that significantly changes the pH, that can have an effect. I'm going to add a little tiny bit more bleached linen into this. I'm mixing up a bunch of colors just because I went for the burnt orange, but then it is actually quite a bright orange when I look at it, and I'm like, well, then I'll mix a little bit more of that in, and I'm going to add a little white. I just want a much lighter version. Rip mustard yellow. Yep, I know, right? But yeah, sometimes I mean everybody likes to microanalyze, and it can lead you in cool directions. So I won't speak too much against it. But sometimes when you're just like trying to fine tune all these things, like what you really should be doing is just painting more. Everybody wants to like, you know, there's this cool thing where small changes build up, right? It's I forget the effect, but you know, you get the idea. You make a bunch of tiny changes and they build up over time to something huge, right? So that's super true. And things like refining, like if you do live in an area where the water is kind of sus, then absolutely that can be one of those small things that can help you. So that's why there's always the caveat of, you know, like maybe if it works for you. But at the same time, in order to get to the point in your painting journey where those micro things can really build up, you have to have a certain level of proficiency overall. Like if you're still trying to figure out blending because you don't know very good brush unloading or, you know, whatever like that, and you're trying to mess with your water because you think it's going to help you, it's really not going to help you until you get to like the point where it's going to help you. Like it might help you if you're getting chunky paint, obviously then you've got a problem. But in general, those fine-tuned supply steps later in the painting journey rather than earlier. Although if you want to get in the habit early, do it. Like really, does it matter? It doesn't matter to me if you go out and buy distilled water. The distilled water people will love you. I just like don't want you running out thinking that you must, like, because it's not a thing. Hey, New and Code, thank you for the resub. 27 months. Yeah, Crows, exactly. And that's my experience, but again, I did have that friend in New York City who definitely had water issues with his paints. So I know it's a thing. It's not just that, and nobody's making this stuff up. It actually can happen. It's just rare. And a lot of time I think people like embrace it when they don't really need to. But again, it's their choice. It's not like distilled water costs more than, you know, $1 a gallon. So if you want to do it, then rock it. If you find that it helps, then do it. But don't let anybody tell you it's a must, because it's not, in my experience. So I'm just going and accentuating some of these cracks now. And also I'm going to kind of exaggerate my stippling a little bit more along the edges here to scuff up the edge. And if I find that I have to go back a little bit to make it look right, I will. But I don't want to blow too much time on it. These are small details. And you don't need them to be like super amazing unless you're doing something for competition and you're really trying to push yourself. Also, not all your cracks need to go all the way across the belt. And if you make a crack and it's kind of wobbly, like that one was, it wasn't quite straight across. It wasn't. Usually if it's going to crack, it's going to crack in tension and more or less a straight line. So you can kind of come back with your dark red and fudge that in a little bit and redraw it. Yeah, you do a lot of airbrushing, Val, so that's probably, I could see where it'd be a better process doing it that way. So as we go to the top of our belt here, I want to highlight a bit more. So I'm going to pick my orangey color and I'm actually going to bring this color up a bit so it's not quite as red. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you've got something like that, I went splat, then yeah, then I would indulge in, you know, filtered water or bottled water, or, you know, just anything that's not that will be just fine. You don't have to use distilled if you don't want to. I was kind of away from distilled because for a while I was drinking a lot of bottled water, so I was just like, well, I can just use my bottled water. And if I buy distilled, you're really not supposed to drink that stuff because there's no nutrients in it whatsoever. And so my drinking water could double as my paint water. But yeah, if you have super crazy water, then yeah, definitely go ahead. Use your distilled or your tap or sorry, your filtered or whatever you want. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure you'd use it airbrushing, right? Yeah, because you don't want mineral buildup and you also don't want fragments, tiny fragments to lodge in your airbrush, right? Because that's a thing. So that makes sense. I mean, a lot of minerals in that case won't dissolve. They'll just, it'll just be fine particulate. But that can really screw up an airbrush, even though it won't screw up your regular paint. So little cracks, fun stuff. And I think I need to accentuate the lightness of my cracks a little bit here. They're not quite showing up as much as I want them to. But yeah, so there's like, if your water is crazy, then indulge in the filtered. My water is not crazy, so. Actually, I've painted at my parents' house and they had super hard water. But they had a water softener, so I'm betting that kind of neutralized it. Because I never had problems painting there. All right. So that's a nice, at least it's got little highlights there. I'm going to hit the other side just a little bit, although this is in shadow. So I'm not going to bring it up as much. I'm just mostly going to hit the edge just to give it a bit of a frayed look, and then we will move on. Now, the thing with this guy is he's got tiny, tiny little eyes. So we're going to have to probably choose a single color eye, and we're going to have to underpaint it with white. I'm probably going to go with the bright red because it fits ogreness. Sorry, I got a little bit of that that orange brown actually up into my cap, and that's why I must have put it on the wrong paint. So now I'm going to have to rinse that out. And let it dry. See, we're doing all the funky, weird stuff happening today with dropping different colors of paint into our existing paint, and then getting different colors we don't want in our paint bottle cap, so that, suddenly colors our other color, and all sorts of crazy stuff. I'm just using a brush to kind of clean out the top of the cap. I put water in it, sloshed it around. So now my cap should be clean. Or clean enough. There, much better. And there's really, like, the reason we made flat caps is just for the people who prefer paint pots. Like, people who prefer paint pots and don't like the droppers for some reason. That's the reason you would use a flat cap. Otherwise, I am not... I don't know of anybody who's used them because most people seem to like the droppers much better. But they were created because there is a market for people who prefer paint pots and not droppers. Oh no, Quindy! But yeah, there are those people out there. I don't think we sell a lot of them, crows, but they are an option for those people who do not like the droppers. Just gonna use some of my orange here and highlight this little cord. There. But yeah, that's why flat caps. All right, let's get some white on this guy's eyes. No idea about that because I'm not an airbrusher. But the original reason they came out was because people didn't like, there was still people who really liked pro paints who didn't like the droppers. There are people who feel that the dropper bottle clogging is just like a deal breaker for them, and that's fair. However, you will see your paint dry out more, as with any paint pot where there is not that double layer of insulation with the air against the air. The dropper bottle gives you a certain extra level of protection against like too much evaporation. And so when you get rid of that dropper tip and the double cap, as it were, then you see your paint dry out faster. So you need to keep an eye on that. Hello, Robin. So I am, however, very much a dropper bottle fan. So take me with a grain of salt. I am biased for sure. This is about a 3-to-2 paint to water for the white. We're underpinning the eyes in white because otherwise they are not going to show up. They're tiny little eyeballs. It's the one downside of this model. And I don't want to give him pupils because I want him to be a monster. I don't want to emphasize his humanity. I want to de-emphasize it. So this is a difficult eyeball to hit. Because of the weapon being right there. And I lost the outline on the bottom rim, so I'll have to go back and get it. But I want it to be very bold. Okay, so that's a nice bright eye. I'm going to go back in with my walnut and just kind of line around it. It's because I lost a little bit of the upper lid on the one and the lower lid on the other. My walnut's mixed around 2-to-1. And as I'm doing that line, I'm exhaling, calming myself down, and I'm not talking. If you're trying to do detail work while you're chatting with your friends, then stop. Take a breath, and then exhale and paint. Or exhale, hold it, and paint. Need a little bit more moisture in my brush. That's just a very tiny eye on that side. But having a little bit of extra... I prefer to think of it as like playing pool or darts because I didn't do shooting, but I did the same technique when I was playing pool. So... it depends. Caffeine affects different people different ways. I would never tell people to shut up. You guys can chat all you want. I reserve the right to ignore you while I'm painting eyeballs. All right. I want bright red. That means clear red. Where are you, clear red? I know you're here. There it is. Screaming eyeball red. Now I could go complementary and go with green eyes, but green isn't more of a, I don't know, different kind of magic. And yellow won't work because he's got such yellow skin. Yellow would have been otherwise a really good choice for an ogre or giant. Yellow and red are typically like the kind of more wicked colors. You could go purple, I suppose, if he was a magical ogre, but purple tends to speak of magic. I would do it for an ogre mage before I would do it for a regular ogre. I'm going to use this clear red almost full strength because it's clear red. I'm going to just put a little bit of water on my brush and use 2 drops of clear red. I just want it a little bit see-through. You want it to carry that bright color because this is such a small area on these eyes. He is off in the Great Canadian Wilds, trying not to ski into trees as we speak, actually. So I am free of David Croft distractions. He tested negative finally this past week, so they let him into Canada. So he's up on a mountain. This is really hard to get this to actually read because there's no contrast. Like mustard is very. This is close. Yellow and red are closer on the color wheel. There we go. That's a brighter red. I'm gonna do a bright red. I'm gonna do a white highlight. That's better. Oh no. He's out in the middle of the freaking wilderness, Robin. Like where they fly you into Vancouver and then you get a puddle jumper into some godforsaken tiny town with a tiny airport, and then you get on a bus for 4 hours and drive into the mountains till you can't go on the road anymore, and then they pick you up in a snowcat and you go another hour. That's like where David is. Like serious wilderness. Far more trees than people. Far more trees than people. Ah, okay. That's true, Quindy. That's true. It's fine, Shadow Raven. He's fine. He can take care of himself. Like, part of the reason I love David is how self-sufficient he is. If something came up, he would figure it out. But I'm sure as long as he doesn't run into a tree, he'll be fine. Nope, not enough moisture on the brush. So when you're trying to do a tiny white dot like this, and you're using slightly thicker paint because you don't want to have to do it twice, squeeze out your brush. But you still got a fair amount of fluid in there because it's holding the brush kind of in a prism shape, see? Then load it. Then unload it. Get a good tip. Got a little highlight, but I don't quite have it where I want it. That works. I have no idea where he is, Shadow Raven. I actually didn't ask. He's just up in the freaking mountains where they like take a snow. There are no ski runs. There are no pole lifts. There are just snowcats that haul you back to the top of the mountain once you effectively figure out how to get down. I can't remember the exact name of the place. But yeah, pretty much people who want virgin powder, like where nobody else has skied before them, and they want a huge mountain, and they're very high level skiers. And that's David, pretty much. Like when we were first dating and he went before COVID, he sent me a picture, and the slope is like this. Like I was like, no, just no. Like, no way. No way. I could barely keep from falling on my snout on the green slope, thank you. So a little bit too bright with the white there. Coming back in with my red. There we go. I just want that pinpoint of light to show where he's looking. But yeah, if you're doing a single color monstrous eye, like where it's really just green, just red, just yellow, do try to hit that white highlight in there because it brings life to it and it lets you suggest a direction for his gaze to go. Alrighty, so I can cross off eye. Yeah, you don't want the helicopter to come to where he is because that means somebody's hurt and needs to be helicoptered out. Eyes, red leather collar is done. I want the ropes and the barrel. So let's grab our, I think I was using nut brown, or was I using saddle? Yeah, I was using saddle, and I think I was using some polished leather to bring that up. Yeah, David is very, very good at skiing. He's been doing it since he was quite small. His dad used to be really into it too. His dad has gone. His dad is like in his 70s now and has downgraded to just doing green and blue slopes instead of double black diamond. But David still does the double black diamond. He does the hardcore stuff. He can get himself from the top of a mountain to the bottom of the mountain without hitting a tree or falling on his face. Which I am like in awe of. I'm just like, no way. Like, I used to like skiing, just futzing around on the green and blue, mostly green slopes. I think I tried one blue and there were moguls and I was like, no. So I'm going to do 4 drops of saddle brown, 1 drop of polished leather, and a drop of bleached linen just to get a lighter color for highlighting this wood. I don't want to spend a lot of time on a barrel. We mostly want to spend time on really the important parts of the model, but we do need to get a highlight on that wood down there. So yeah, that's what David's into. I admire him for his proficiency. But yeah, it's kind of like I thought about taking up skiing again because he skis. And when I was in high school and college, I really enjoyed it. I really like going out in the mountains and being out on the slopes and how quiet it is and how beautiful it is. And I like speed. Actually, if I must be honest, I do. I did enjoy the speed. But he's so much better than I am at it. So much better. It would be like newbie painter coming to like paint with super advanced painter. Like the advanced painter's off doing this stuff and you're just kind of sitting there. So, yeah. So I haven't yet. I've thought about taking just kind of starting from zero because it's been so long since I've been on skis. I may as well. I've probably lost all any bad habits I've had. So it would almost be worth just starting from zero with a ski instructor. And I'm considering it. Because I did like it. I did really enjoy it. And if I had grown up in an area where skiing was easy to get to, then I probably would have gotten big into it. But I didn't. Ski hills in Wisconsin are very much just that, hills. I skied exactly once in the mountains. I went to Big Sky with some friends in college. We drove out. And that was cool, but I definitely fell down a mountain. Like I definitely ended up like sliding down a hill on my butt, wiping out. It was still fun and I didn't hurt myself, but it was just kind of that wake up call of, you need to get a little better at this. Plus, I have so many other hobbies and things going on in my life now. It's like, I would have to like make it a priority because David's really honest about it with me. He's just like, yeah, if you want to improve every year, you have to go at least 8 times, like 6 to 8 times minimum. And I'm like, would I be willing to dedicate like that many weekends to skiing? I don't think I would. Like to be honest, I've got so many other things I love to do. And once we get a puppy, like then it's on. Like I might want to go and do things with the puppy, like an obedience club, or maybe when the puppy gets older, if it likes it, maybe do agility or something fun like that. I've always been interested in that, so I think the puppy is likely to become my next hobby, and skiing is just gonna have to. My time is for skiing has passed. We'll see. Oh dear, Tostoma. I would have sat down and just scooted my way out of that. I don't like cross country very much. It It's great exercise, but it does definitely put like a strain on my back. Just because of the balance and everything. Like I don't, we tried even snowshoeing, and one, I got huge blisters, and two, my back really was tired by the end of it. I would have to go in very small increments to work up to cross country skiing. And because cross country doesn't give me the speed, I don't like it. Like I don't like it as much. I would rather just walk. Like I'm much happier going out and hiking in the wilderness than I would be like, or even snowshoeing, because I did enjoy snowshoeing. I would just have to do not a full day of it. So yeah, I don't know. Plus, I hate the cold. Like, you add all these things together, and it's probably not for me. There we go. We've got some nice highlights. I'm just, like, pretty much following the wood grain that's sculpted on the barrel. When you're doing small details like this, you just need a little bit to bring it to life. You don't need to go too crazy with it. I do need to do the metal bands on the barrel, and I'm going to do that when I do the back of the shield here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, like ski drawing, I know. I mean, I've heard of it, but Shilohs do have sled dog ancestry. Like they have Malamute behind them, but I'm not sure that that's kind of something that appeals to me. I'm sure it's great exercise for the dog, but... And we don't get snow like here. I'd have to actually travel to do it. The things I really like to do with my dog are things that we can work on like at home too. So like the thing I really love, and I know that I'm going to do with the new puppy, is trick training. I did trick training with Thorn and I really enjoyed it, and it was great mental exercise for the dog. It was a good thing to do on rainy days or days when it was lousy out and you couldn't go outside. All right, let's get some metal on. I'm going to hold on that texture right there, and once I fill out everything else, then I'll judge if I need a little bit more. Yep. Yeah, Dragon Day. I'm not a cold person. I grew up in Wisconsin. Like I remember the weekend in Madison where it was -40, and like there's still postcards of that day. Because the steam coming out of the power plants was just like laying in this like frost blanket like over the city, like it was insta-freeze. It was almost making localized snow. Like it was insanely cold. And I grew up, having the cold winters, and I hated them. I hated them all as a kid. Even though I loved sledding and things like that and skiing, I knew I was not moving to a cold climate. Like, that's why you saw me go Texas. And now I'm on the West Coast where it's very nice and temperate. I like the heat. I love the heat. Give me 90 degrees and I'm going to be like, this is great weather. And everybody else is going to be going, ugh, But I love that. Give me the heat. Kiri really loved snow. I think I still have a video of her like being so excited about snow, like right when I let her out in the morning as she races around the yard like a crazy dog. She really loved it when she was younger. When she got older, she didn't like it as much because it made the ground slippery and you had a harder time not slipping, so. Well, no, you don't want high humidity 90. It was moderate in Texas. Like 30 to 40% usually. We did get a lot more humidity toward the end of my stay in Texas. Like in the 17 years I was there, it seemed to progress from a kind of a drier heat toward a more humid heat later on. But that could be just a fluke. I mean, weather patterns just change and shift. All right, let's get these bands outlined, and then I'm going to get some steel mixed up. Actually, maybe I'll paint the bands straight across. I think I'm just going to paint the whole band. No reason not to. There's no reason to spend extra brush control like lining both sides of this band when I haven't even painted it. So I may as well just paint it dark and then put a band over the top of it, a band of color over the top of it. It's a much easier way. But yeah, I am not a cold girl. I knew that I wanted to end up in a warmer climate, so Out here, it's very nice because when it gets to 90 out in the South Bay, it is a dry heat. Yeah, doggles, many doggles love the snow. I mean, they have fur coats, so like it's nice and brisk to them and fun. And you can eat it and drink it at the same time. I mean, what's not to love, thinks the doglet. Kiri would run and eat snow at the same time. It was funny, so funny. I had pictures of her with her snow nose. But yeah, this new puppy won't even experience snow unless we take the pup somewhere with it. So maybe we'll have to go out to Tahoe so David can ski and the puppy can experience snow. Okay, so we got that band blacked in. That's good. Or walnutted in. Oh, yeah, Leonberger. Yeah, I am very familiar with the Leonberger breed. Although what they are today is they've been reconstructed. They suffered a lot through World War II. But yeah, they're very much like Shilohs as far as the build. Though a little bit more working dog in mentality, I think. Although they're breeding them to be companion animals now. And so they're aiming for temperament, which is great. Yeah, they're nice dogs. Yeah, we were looking at Leonbergers as a possible outcross for our Shilohs. I think we weren't sure on the genetic diversity because their genome's probably pretty close to ours. All right, so let's hey lady. Yeah, they have floppy ears, but if you look at their bodies, like they're very Shiloh. If you put a Shiloh head on a Leonberger body, it would look like a Shiloh. And they've got the same size. We're using 2 floppy-eared dogs in our outcross program. You can breed away from the floppy ears. Takes a while. Yeah, Leonberger's also sized like Shilohs, but sometimes a bit more big boned. So yeah, 100 pounds easy. Up to 130 or so for males, I thought. Not unheard of to see a really big Leonberger. But I haven't checked up on the breed recently. Alrighty. Oh, there's a rope that I missed, so I'm going to kind of get over and line around that. There's a little rope right there that I thought was a casting issue that actually is a rope. Alrighty. Yeah, so let's did the wood, so let's do the metal. Let's do that. I'm going to grab my pen and mark off barrel wood highlight. Just a few more things on our punch list to do. I'm going to grab a bit of our cloudy gray, which is my usual base for steel. I always have a little bit of another color in there. And since I went with ashen blue there, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of ashen blue to my steel color. I don't want to change the color away from gray. I just want to make it a little bit more complicated than a flat gray. So I'm only using like a little bit, like a half a drop of ashen blue. Ashen blue is like one of my favorite like sky earth NMM colors as far as the sky color. So yep, have fun, Grey Wolf. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow on my own channel. Remember, twitch.tv/paintingbig. We're going to be working more on the bust I was working on, I think. Or I might do something new. I don't know. I haven't decided. It's whatever I prep. But I might switch to a different project because there's still some fill work that I need to do on that bust to correct some casting issues. So I might work on something else instead. Oh, and I also wanted to say, hey guys, I'm trying to get my YouTube channel up to 1,000 follows. So if you haven't, or subscribes, or whatever the heck they call it, you know what I mean. If you search for Painting Big, 2 words, Painting Big on YouTube, or Quindy maybe would be good enough to give me a YouTube link in the chat. If you give me a follow or a subscribe, whatever they call it, I would love that. I'm trying to aim for 1,000. And I've got lots of new fundamentals of mini painting videos on there, and I'm going to do 2 more this month. So there'll be little short videos covering the fundamentals of mini painting for those who are new, and even for those who want to subscribe. Yeah, yay! Thanks, Quindy. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of people are watching these new fundamentals videos, which I'm like super excited about. So now I'm like, well, I need to get more people aware of my channel. So yeah, if you're not subscribed, please do. I've got some fun stuff. I'm going to do one on additives, a really short video on additives this month, but I'm also going to do like, because I realized I have to, there's some basics that I hadn't covered, so I'm going to do my top 5 tips for new mini painters in a separate video. So I'm aiming to get 2 free videos out this month on the top of everything else I have to get done. We'll see how it goes. All right, so we are going to grab our lovely metal color, and we're going to paint it down the middle of this strip of walnut and leave a little bit of walnut on each side, thus neatly avoiding having to line around it. Thanks, lady. Yay, and thanks, Dragon Day. Thank you all. Yeah, and if you have any newbie friends who are just like learning, like throw them at my channel, because I have one thing about how to get a nice base coat, a nice smooth base coat, and I have a couple on washes. And like I said, I'm doing 2 more this month, which will be up the 1st of March. But they'll be up earlier for your patrons. So people who are on my Patreon, patreon.com/paintingbig, you guys get early access to these. I usually post them up at least a week before they go up on YouTube. And that's just an extra perk for my patrons. Like, I just decided that was a good thing to do. So, doesn't matter what tier you're at. And that is all the and stuff. Oh, good. Thanks, Butts. I appreciate it. Yeah, there will be more. I like, it's kind of helpful. I have a friend who's actually a friend through dogs, through my dog club. And she just got into mini painting. So it's actually really helpful to have a friend who is just getting in, like very, very basic, because it reminds me of like stuff that like I wish I would have known when I started. So really enjoying these short videos that I'm doing, and looking forward to doing a lot more of them. Also, people would ask me like where to go, like when they were starting. They're like, what channel or what Patreon or whatever, you know, what YouTuber should I watch? And I just didn't even know, because I don't know the painting YouTube community very well. So I was like, well, Maybe I should just do a few things, and that way I can at least get them off on the right foot with Master Series and Basics. And I can just say from there, just, you know, go wherever. There are a lot of great YouTubers and Twitch people and Patreons out there for mini painting, so. Yeah, that's why I put it on other places, but I'll make sure to put it more on the Patreon as well. It's Twitch. Or, sorry, it's not Twitch. It's YouTube. Quindy linked it in the... oh, there we go. Quindy linked it right under where you asked. It's YouTube. I'm trying to get to 1,000. Probably has a ways to go, but... yeah, the fact that a lot of people are watching the videos, they're getting a lot more views than just... I used to just put up my old VODs, and that wasn't a very good strategy. And it wasn't also very helpful for people just looking for specific topics that wanted just a quick, you know, instructional. I'm going to just take some white and mix this in and block in highlights. So yeah, I decided to go and focus on videos for new people, and that's been working really well, and so now I'm excited, and I would like to grow the YouTube channel a little bit. And get some more good content up on there. I'll figure out a way to search for it and like oh, good. Yeah, those are written by Rhonda. The Reaper Learn to Paint kits. Rhonda did a great job on those. She's so good at explaining stuff. She has an awesome blog too, Butts. I don't know if you knew that, but she does a painting blog on it's birdwithabrush.com. And her Patreon is birdwithabrush. Patreon.com/birdwithabrush. So her Patreon is entirely just to throw her some support for her blog, because she puts a lot of time and effort into building the entries for it. But she's great, and her blog is always instructional, especially if you're interested in the intersection of like 2D art and miniature painting. Like, she directly takes stuff that she learns in her 2D art stuff and applies it to mini painting and tries to make it accessible. Which is an awesome thing that I wish I had done, but I'm too busy doing other things, so I'm glad she did it. But yeah, she's always got something interesting to think about. Yeah, I'm trying to keep them really short. Like the one on building your own washes, I had to go a bit longer just because it needed a little more explanation. But these two new ones should be really, really short. I just want to give people the basics, right? You just want to give people a foundation. You're just like, okay, so these are your 3 main things to think about when you're doing X, you know, and this is why, right? I'm big on the why. I'm big on telling you why it works. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for. So yeah, I'm going to try to keep everything 7 or 8 minutes. I don't want to take up people's time. I mean, y'all would rather be painting, so there we go. So just a little bit of a white pinpoint here. I need to put my shadows in though, or this won't look like metal. But first I just wanted to kind of nail where my highlights are going. I don't want this strong of a highlight back here because it's all reflected light. Always keep your directional light source in mind, but essentially I'm going to go with a softer highlight here, and back here not a whole lot. Painting big one word. Okay, good, thanks Turgeon. Yeah, I thought it was the other way around, because some people had told me that they weren't having luck searching for all one word, but now I know. Yay! Thank you for doing that experiment for me. You just saved me time, and I appreciate it, because I feel like these days time is like my most valuable commodity. So yes, listen to Turgeon. So yeah, once we get on the YouTube, guys, since you guys are all my fans, like I like to ask you stuff. But once I get a good solid offering of like kind of fundamentals videos up on the YouTube, I will totally be asking you guys if there is anything you would like me to feature in a short video. So, and it's nice too doing the super shorts, because then the Patreon content is still really valuable, because the Patreon content I go into a lot more detail, right? So like if you watch a fundamentals video and you're like, okay, but I need to know more about like lining, then you can go to the Patreon, look up lining, and like find stuff that will take you through, you know, why is it useful, and here's how to do it and use it to do this and that, and yeah, stuff like that. So that's kind of my long-term goal with that. All right, mixing some walnut into this gray just to make a quick shadow, thinning it down so that I can blend it. Yeah, we'll do one of those. I don't need it yet, Pendrake, though. I don't need the suggestions right now. Right now I actually have a long list of just basic stuff, basic mechanical techniques, the things that people need to know like right off the bat. So I'm kind of going down my list of like after I do this additives video and the top 5 tips for new painters, which will be like, you know, thinning your paint and, you know, how to unload your brush and stuff like that. I'll probably do a different unloading your brush video too, but after I do some of that stuff, then I'll be looking for specifics. But right off the bat, I want to be able to give people a good grounding before I get specific. I want them to know what layering or wet blending is before I start telling them to use it with painting fur. So first it's all technique, because I am the queen of technique. All about it. Yeah, like I said, eventually. I don't want necessarily get a lot of suggestions right now. I'm just going to forget them, to be frank. I've got too much on my plate right now. But when we get there, I will be asking my community for suggestions. Because you guys know, you know, what your newbie friends are having trouble with, or you're a newbie yourself and you'd have a topic you have in mind. And again, like the Patreon's got a lot of stuff and it goes very in depth on a lot of stuff. But if you come up with a good thing that's super fast, then we can talk about it. But yeah, not quite yet. Not yet. Don't hit me with a lot of stuff right now. It'll just go right over my head and into the morass of things. It'll be eaten by the morass of things I have to do today that are sitting here on top of my head going, hey, right now. I am the queen of color theory, but you know what? Technique. It's all about technique. I would the old masters would have liked me, because I really believe that before you get to the conceptual techniques like color theory, having a firm grounding in mechanical techniques so that you can blend and you can do textures and you can do, you know, eyeballs, like that's important. There we go. Got some shadows and some highlights. I still feel like these are a little bright, so I'm going to take them down a notch. Just going to glaze over them. Make them fade a little bit. There we go. There are other people who teach color theory, though. I think that Aaron Hartwell does a good job of it. Alrighty. So got that. Now let's get the metal on the back of this. We're making good progress on this. Although I'm going to end up stopping before I finish the ropes or the pointy bits. So probably next time we do Ogre, we'll be doing ropes and pointy bits and talk about some basing, execute some basing. I'll figure out what I want to do for some basing. I lined all around these little thingies and I didn't really need to. Because I'll end up going back over it after I base coat it. Who knows what I was thinking? Also, I need to put some rust around the barrel, the metal barrel parts, and on the shield here. Hello, Vampire Painting Studio. But yeah, so we'll need to put some more, since we did corrosion on here, we'll need to do corrosion also on the anywhere else that we see like these little steel hoops and the beat up buckler back here, so that we can get it all to read correctly. And I'm just going to paint over where I want my metal here. Actually, this the spiked center of this buckler will be a great, the grooves around it will be a great place for rust and corrosion. And honestly, these tiny little bits, just a little dab of paint. When details get this small, you really just need to kind of touch them and just move on. They don't need a lot of detail. Like, you really can't do a lot of detail on these tiny little rivets. There we go. Pretty good. Okay, cool. How to stop brush licking, crows, or why you should stop brush licking. I should at least do a video on showing people, like, hey, this is how I get the water out of my brush and get it to a good tip, get it to a good point, and I don't lick my brush. That should be a thing. You're right. So I've taken my shadow color in here, which is pretty much a wash, and I'm just gonna shade around the bottom. And I'm gonna likewise kind of put in a couple of shadows, kind of figuring out where my light is likely to come from here. I think it's mostly going to be coming from up there. So I'm going to put shadows on either side. And this is just like my kind of my wash, so I'm building up layers of shadow here, and then I can always hit it with a slightly stronger shadow once I get this kind of layered in. Now you can see it start coming in. Every time I go in and add another level of kind of dabbed in shadow, you get a little bit darker, but it lets us kind of blend it. So that we get this transition. I'm going to grab a little bit of my walnut, a little bit of my shadow wash. I need to re-accentuate this line. I lost a little bit of the lining here between the steel and the red. So I'm going to bring that back in just to make sure I've got that shadow, and here I painted over a little bit too. There. Now I can bring in that dark color. Just a little bit of it. There we go. And now the white or highlights. And I want to hit these little rivets too, if I can, these teeny tiny little rivets. And again, we can bring in a little rust color, but there's not like a lot of room here for the rust color. So around the rim, we're not going to be able to get a lot in there. And up here on the top, I think I'm going to want to go pretty light. Bring that light in. This buckler's kind of squashed. He's definitely put it through the ringer a bit. And now I need an under reflection down there in the bottom. So just a tiny highlight, not nearly as bright as up top. Need a little bit more highlight here. Some of these little rivets can get a lower highlight, not as bright. And we've got that going on. Sure. Thanks, Dragon Day. Thanks for stopping in. It's about the end anyway. Maybe I have 5 more minutes. We're doing pretty good here. Where is my rusted anchor? Remember our rust color? We'll just do a quick rust. We have oranges open on our palette, so we can do it maybe very fast. And any like reddish brown or reddish orange brown color will work for this, including, of course, the oxide brown and oxide red are kind of made for this. I like the rusted anchor color though, so, and we use that for our foundation on this. So what I'm going to do is bring in some little rusty bits to break up our barrel. Especially around the ropes. And I can grab some of the orange from this. And bring that in. Reaperland is on for today. Awesome. Just getting a fair amount of rust down here, and then we'll be done with that. Here we are. Excellent. Big blobs of rust back here. Losing streak on marbles, huh? Sounds familiar. Well, thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate it. It's a Yay Friday kind of day. I hope you have some great fun or at least relaxing stuff piled up to do over the weekend. Personally, I have a lot to do, but I'm going to program in a lot of relaxed time as well. There we go. Just some extra orange here. And then we'll be done. So on a Monday, it is, oh yeah, the tiefling is almost done. Or he is, yeah, we're just going to finish up the tiefling, but I also have another new model to announce, guys. Hey, so I've been wanting to paint this for a while, so we're totally going to paint her because she has this elaborate ball gown. So I actually put her up as one of my prospective paint-alongs, but people didn't choose her, so I want to paint her anyway. So we're totally painting Madame Delia because I love the dress. The dress will be super fun, and we could pick some super colors. And so yeah. So there, now you guys know all the new models that we're doing. We're going to replace Bronze Golem with Centaur. We're going to replace the Ogre, once he's done, with the Catfolk Paladin. And then we are going to replace the Tiefling with Madame Delia from Dreadmere. I'm really looking forward to that. All of those, actually. I'm looking forward to all of them. I think they're going to be super fun. So I am happy and psyched to work on so many cool models coming up. I'm going to put some lighter bands of rust across the top of this band because that's where water's going to catch and pool. Don't want to totally wipe out our highlights there, but we definitely can tone them back with a bit of red-brown around them. So it's kind of a catch-22, whether you've got a little bit of shiny showing through there so you can catch a little bit of that light. Just a little bit. Alrighty. The only thing we didn't do is rust on the shield, and I am out of time. So I am going to call it there, and we can work on basing and finishing up ropes and stuff like that when we come back on the little pokey things. Let's back out and take a look at our model. He is looking pretty snaz for a big honkin' ogre. As snaz as an ogre is likely to be. And yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how he's come out. We just have some more detailing to do, and then we'll be done, and then we can move on to the next model as we do. Oh, nice! We're gonna go to see Christine. Ooh, Bryce and Christine, awesome! That's a great combo. So then you guys have fun, and I will see you all tomorrow. Remember, I'm streaming on twitch.tv/paintingbig, so I'll be doing that around 3:30 USA Central Time. And we'll either work on the bust I've been working on for competition, or we'll work on something new and something special. So thank you all, and yeah, have a great weekend. Hopefully I'll see a bunch of you tomorrow. Bye-bye.